You're on the clock with Tyler Jennings and Jared Perkins, a Prospects Live podcast for everything MLB Draft related. Join us as we discuss the biggest stories from college and high school baseball, bring you interviews from your favorite draft prospects, and break down live looks with Prospects Live analysis across the nation. Get ready, because you're on the clock with Tyler Jennings and Jared Perkins.
Welcome to a live episode of On the Clock by Prospects Live. I'm Jared Perkins. That's Tyler Jennings. We got Brian Recca with us today. We're going live for the first time. I think the last time we had a live was a mock draft, maybe. Got the college baseball season over with. We are rolling into the NCAA selection show, so we got some college baseball playoffs coming up. Want to cover that stuff, the tourney, and then some draft prospect updates as well. But Tyler, how you doing today?
Very tired. Actually, Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, 100%. You were out there at the ACC tourney all weekend.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm not gonna lie. Big shout out to Duke, by the way. That they are 8-0 in Charlotte since they've I think 2022 they won 2021 actually, because they weren't there in 2022. They won all 4 games there. They won all 4 games this week. Routed Florida State in the championship. So shout out to them. Couldn't be any happier for the guys. Old buddy Coach Sikowski is now an ACC champion. So very happy for him. And what was funny was we got a call to go out onto the field.
That's cool.
To kind of get not join the dog pile per se, but get the content for it. And let me tell you, that's a contact high that I'm still kind of not getting over, to be honest. That was probably one of the coolest things I've ever been part of, because I didn't go last year, just with the rain and everything for when Clemson celebrated. But doing it this year, that was surreal. That was pretty cool to be a part of, and got to congratulate a few of the guys on the field. Sikowski was one of them. He was the first guy I looked for, to be honest.
That's cool.
Absolutely. One of the nicest dudes out there. Could not be any nicer to any of us, really. So
talk about the gameplay though. You were tweeting out, it seemed like a home run from every top draft prospect in the ACC during that tournament. How many home runs were hit in that entire tourney?
So I don't know the full total, but we did break the record.
Of course. Yeah, shock.
So the old record was 54, which was last year. We tied the record on the Nick Kurtz go-ahead home run in the 12th inning on Friday night in pool play. So I think I can't remember who broke it Saturday, but it was the first game of the semifinal. So we're over 60. I'm pretty sure. We had 2 grand slams yesterday in the final. There was a couple other home runs that were hit, so we're easily between 60 to 65. I think. But I think what the game plan was just normal kind of stuff. It was I just happened to have more battery packs on me to kind of keep the footage rolling. So it kept 2 on the open sides, 1 behind home plate, and it just made it easier with the fact that they kind of cleared out the section below for scouts and everything. So it was really easy to get up close, get the pitching behind home plate, except for the Chase Burns start, really, because that was everyone and their mother was there. The sold out crowd, all the scouts were there. We had easily 50 plus scouts just for that start alone.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it was just if something happens, cool, I'll go and tweet it out and just go from there. Really, I was in everywhere else, just trying to get everything wrapped up and ready to go for our top 300 dropping this week. So that's another thing that's coming out. And I have that coming out this week, either tomorrow, if not Wednesday. So we're working to get that done. But overall, just really excited to get that out, and just unbelievable experience. So, I don't think the ACC guys are watching this, but shout out to those guys for hosting one hell of an event.
I love it. Recca, were you out at any tourneys? I thought I saw that you said something that you were out at one of the Northeast tourneys.
Yeah, I was actually at a couple. I was at the MAC tournament for a few games, and the Northeast Conference as well. LIU ended up winning that one. And the MAC was won by Niagara, which I'd say Niagara, really, really impressive team. I think they're going to have a couple guys drafted this year. They got a few guys for next year's class that look pretty good, and a lot of really good role players. So I'm not surprised they won it. And LIU had a great season, and I didn't see this tournament. It was out in Creighton, out there for the Big East, but St. John's won, and I saw them a few times this year. I was cool. Give them a shout out, and that was a team I thought that was going to be a really tough conference for them to do well in, and they really answered the call. So congrats to them. But it was a good final week for the season up here, and I get to be an observer the rest of the way, so it should be fun.
Yeah, I love that. The one tourney I want to talk about outside of this was the SEC tourney, right? Everybody kind of expected Tennessee to win it, but LSU went on an absolute run. They came in as the 11th seed in the tournament, and made their way to the championship game. Kind of boat raced everybody on their way there. But Tyler, what do you got on that?
If I'm a regional host, I do not want LSU as my 2 seed.
Zero chance.
Like, what was it? They were down 8-0 in South Carolina and came back and walked it off.
Yeah, in
10. And that game alone was just one of the wildest endings I've ever seen personally, just watching it from the press box. But yeah, LSU, like, scorching white hot. Like, I think Vanderbilt's kind of the same way too. They had a deep run in the SEC tournament. They weren't ranked very high going into it, and I think they solidified themselves as like a legitimate 2 seed that will give a 1 seed fits, in my opinion. And then some teams like Florida, I really don't know if Florida should be in this tournament, to be honest. I think the underlying metrics will keep them in personally. Yeah. But 28-27, they barely meet the requirement to be 500, and they went one and done in Hoover. They, to me, haven't done enough to really deserve a position to be a 3 seed somewhere. And it's kind of a bummer because this is a team that's been year in, year out one of the best in the industry, really. And like Kevin O'Sullivan is a fantastic players coach.
Yeah.
There are some questions in terms of the pitching staff and how he handles them, but really like kind of just struggle with their whole game plan this year because they really struggled in midweeks, and once they lost that series to Mizzou, it kind of just the brakes fell off. So I like they're a tough one for me to really like put into the field, but I think considering the fact that ECU got in last night as a regional host when they probably really shouldn't have been,
yeah.
I think we're going to be in for a couple surprises. I think Florida's going to be one of those where like they don't deserve to be in, but I'm sure they're going to be like one of the last 4 in.
Yeah. I just want to touch a little bit back on the LSU standpoint too. I saw Jay Johnson give an interview after one of the games. He kind of talked about how they lost so many guys last year to the draft and how it was kind of a younger group of guys, and they were all learning how to kind of play together in the SEC, which is not easy, not the easiest conference to try to come out of. And talk about a coach that's like a player's coach and believes in his guys regardless of what the results are. I mean, he's been the steadfast leader of that team, and you can tell why people want to go play for him. And that's the results you get when you are that kind of coach and you believe in your guys regardless of the results. You have the talent, you're going to get there. And he got themselves into second place in the SEC tourney. So got to give shout out to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Friend of the podcast. Friend of the podcast. As a good old Monty Taylor would tell me. And that's another thing too. Like all the guys at the AC tournament this week that were covering the teams, like Monty Taylor with College Baseball Central, all those guys are super sweet and super nice. Like, had a ton of fun with them. All the beat writers, awesome. They really are. Like Noah Darling has a very good crew over there. And having spent a lot of time with Monty this year, like we were at basically every single Duke weekend I was there. Just a super cool person and just super nice to have around, really. Made the press box so much more fun. We had Connor O'Neill, the Duke and Wake Forest beat writer that we have here. We were duetting Logan Bravo's walk-up song, which is I Want to Know What Love Is, which is probably the best walk-up song in the country, bar none.
Like, I think I saw Aaron Fitz tweet about that.
Yes, yeah. We were duetting that like 3 times in the past like 4 days. It was fun. And And even talking about Fitzy himself, like Fitzy is just all around one of the nicest guys in the industry. And I know he's got his own thing today. Like he's probably not watching this, but he is just one of the best guys really to be around. And he's he's gotten on me to be more professional, and he's definitely been a good coach on that. So shout out Fitzy for that. And I think we do have a question here that looks like it's interesting. Is there any chance Walker Jennings sneaks into the top 15?
I think this is the third time we've gotten a Walker Janet question.
Hey, Walker questions are welcomed in all fronts. Like top 15, maybe. I'm not going to rule it out. The catching depth in this class is pretty legit when you have Malcolm Moore, Walker Janet, Caleb Lamavita, Jacob Kozart as all being potential first rounders.
Yeah.
Kozart's probably the last on that list personally for me, just because of the fact that like some of the tools have regressed a little bit. I still don't think he can hit spin whatsoever. But I think he's probably the second catcher off the board. Do I think he's a top 15 pick? Not really at this moment in time, but like say he has a really good combine, I can definitely see it.
Yeah.
As of right now, don't circle me as a Walker Janet top 15 guy, but like if it happens, it happens, and I'm not going to be shocked whatsoever. Rekka, if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, the one guy was going to – go ahead, Rekka.
Oh, sure. I think I don't see top 15 personally, but, I'm also a person who said that I didn't really think he was going to be a first rounder at all. Now, that's looking more and more likely. I'll say like the final few teams, drafting – in that like 10 to 15 range. You got like the Giants, the Red Sox, the Mariners are another team. Like I don't really see them taking him in that area. So like, part of it is not just on Walker Jenkins, but it's also, who's picking in those slots and what they're going to do and, what they, tend to value and who else is going to be there. So I think that's kind of a bit of a stretch, a little lofty 15, but, we'll see. I didn't think Nolan Shanuel is going to go where he did either. So it's possible, I guess.
Yeah, the one thing I was going to ask you guys about too, as we kind of approach the draft to finish up the college baseball season, I feel like last year you kind of knew who the top 5 picks were going to be, just didn't know exactly which order. Seems like that's not the case this year as much. What is your kind of take on that? And do you think there's like guys you for sure think are going to be top 5? Besides Condon, of course.
Yeah, I think Condon, Bazan are like for sure fire top 5 guys. Cags, I could definitely see being top 5. Montgomery, more than likely, it's a top 5 pick at this point, even if you have questions about the fact that the right-handed swing's not good. Like it's really a drastic difference between the left and right side when you look at the splits. And I think at some point he's going to have to ditch switch hitting and just be a lefty for like in general. Outside of that, you can hear rumors like Connor Griffin could be a 1-1 dark horse. James Tibbs could be a dark horse 1-1. I wouldn't hate that. So it's kind of like you got those 4 guys, and then after that, you're kind of not sure. Like JJ Wetterholt could totally be a top 5 pick even after missing a month and a half this year with a hamstring injury. Bryce Rayner could sneak into the top 5 at some point if someone doesn't prefer Connor Griffin as a top prep bat in the class. Hagen Smith could totally be a top 5 pick. Chase Burns more than likely could be as well. So like, I think in general, you're correct in saying that last year was a bit easier to dissect. This year's a bit tougher, but it's also a pretty top-heavy top 10. And then after that, it kind of really dives off at depth-wise. But I think at this point, anybody from like 1 to 15 on our board has a shot to be like a legitimate top 5 pick, whichever route that they decide to go.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Record, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I for the most part, pretty much agree with that. I think what happened, comparing it to last year is like it seemed like there was just a smaller group of players like were being considered that high, and this year it's just like it's the top of the draft has a little bit more depth to it.
Yeah,
you can go like a good 10 picks in, and you're still getting someone really a little higher talent level than what you would have gotten last year. So I think that like muddies things more than anything. It's not necessarily the these guys aren't good or it's a bad year. Just at the top, there's just more names to consider.
Yeah.
Whereas last year, by the fourth pick, Wyatt Langford's gone, and now we don't know what's going to happen anymore. So yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it. And I think the two guys, Condon and Bazan, are locked in, and I'd be shocked if Montgomery and Hagen Smith aren't all these are the top guys all year. They performed that way. They played great in big moments. It's like this is what teams take early in the draft. So I think we don't know the order, but I'm sure like the names that are up there are not going to be a surprise in July so much.
Yeah, I love it. So selection show has started. We're kicking off with that. We did get one question. Thoughts on Penn State?
I think Penn State, their only hope was to really win the Big Ten tournament yesterday. Yeah. Big shout out to Gambino and that club, man. That was a really gritty fight going through Omaha, and I think they were one of the last teams into the Big Ten tournament too, because I think only the top 8 really get a chance to go. And Travis Lunsman looked really sharp yesterday up until that Josh Caron home run in the 7th inning. He was really efficient, looked really, really good. He's a senior. He might be a signee. Kind of haven't dove into that profile yet. But then also Adam Cecere joining that club from Wake Forest. This was the guy
watching him, man. I liked watching him at Wake too.
Yeah, he experienced the biggest defeat on that Tommy White walk-off last year in Omaha, and then he hit the go-ahead 2-run home run to cement themselves into the final. That to me is a big bounce back, and it's probably an underrated story, to be honest. That in and of itself is such a big momentum booster for him, and I think Penn State, if they had won it all, they could be a legitimate 3 seed somewhere. Because their RPI is not great. It's 97. They're 29-24 with a 116 strength of schedule. And they're 5-8 in Q1 games. It's really tough to really put a team like that into the tournament, even though they had a really stout Big Ten tourney. I don't really see it. Unfortunately, I think their only chance was to win the entire Big Ten, which came close, but Nebraska finally won it for the first time since 2005 when Alex Gordon was there. So that was a really fun game to watch late.
Yeah, 2-1 victory. Penn State couldn't squeak it out, but cool to see. Rekka, do you have any thoughts on Penn State?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I mentioned it in the year, but just going into this season, it's definitely felt like there was a change in their program. They brought in a lot of really good transfers, like mentioned Cecere. They brought another guy, Joe Jakonski, who was I believe he was with UNC for a while. They brought in some really useful pieces. They brought back some good guys, and I know they have a pretty solid recruiting class for next year. So it's just a good turnaround. You don't really see Penn State compete in baseball too often, so it'd be nice to have a little more competition in the Big Ten. Another school taking baseball seriously is awesome to see. So I'm sure they're gonna be there and competing next year too. So good run for them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love it.
We're also getting the top 4 seeds.
Yep.
They were announced half an hour beforehand. Tennessee, Kentucky, Texas A&M, and UNC in that order. So Tennessee's the 1, Kentucky 2, A&M 3, and UNC is going to be the 4th national seed, and we'll get the rest here shortly. But I kind of want to ask you guys about this Tennessee team, because this was a team that we kind of weren't sure what was going to happen coming into the year, and they've had their fair share of injuries. AJ Russell's been out with elbow and oblique injuries this year, and they've really not had consistent rotation. AJ Causey went from being a Friday night guy to now they have Chris Stamos coming in, and he's now the bona fide, not opener per se, but the second man out of the bullpen on Friday nights to kind of settle everything down. They win 50 games and win the SEC tournament. What do you guys have on that?
That lineup is insane, right? You got Christian Moore hit 28 home runs this year. Blake Burke's got absolutely insane power. And then you added Billy Amick this year, right from Florida. And they just absolutely mashed. And that's not even including like Dylan Dreiling and a bunch of other guys. So the rotation, like you said, had its warts, right? Drew Beam doesn't really strike a ton of guys out, but he finds ways to kind of get things done. And so it's just kind of impressive, especially when in the offseason they lost Chase Burns to Wake Forest in the transfer portal. That was kind of a big blow, but they've just come back and it's almost like they didn't even miss a beat.
Absolutely agree with that.
I think too, like like Drew Beam might not strike 5 guys out, but he's been such a consistent performer since day one. And like you look up and down that team, their pitching staff, and just they have so many guys that can fill the role and like have this whole year. And it's this time of year, having that depth and having guys that can come in and get outs is huge. You're not counting on one guy to pitch on 3 days rest and pitch a gem for you. I think that's really big, and that's something Tennessee's really done the whole year. It's just count on a lot of guys to perform.
Absolutely, and looks like we got Arkansas is the 5, Clemson is the 6 seed, Georgia 7, and then Florida State is going to be the 8 seed. So that's all your national seeds up there, and we're getting to Tennessee regional now.
Are we?
Yeah, so the 4 seed in Tennessee is going to be Northern Kentucky, who won the Horizon League, and that was a shocker. Like Wright State's perennial Horizon League champions, and now we got a new face in that lineup.
What a team logo, the Norse.
Dude, I love it. Indiana made it.
Wow. That's surprising to me.
That's a big bubble seed right there.
Yeah. I watch Indiana and they're okay. They're not. I mean, it's a good team. We got Connor Foley, you got Devin Taylor, but kind of shocking. And then Southern Miss is the last one.
Ooh, that's a sneaky good regional right there.
Yep.
Southern Miss has won 8 straight years of 40-win seasons.
They're always sneaky good, man.
They are always good. Man, Indiana. That's a little bit of a shocker. I've seen some people don't want them in there. ECU is going to be the 16 seed. Shocker. I think ECU only gets this because they had somebody on the committee. I didn't think their
Duke. It's like
their resume wasn't good. I think Duke or Mississippi State probably deserves that spot, or even Indiana State. Really, like Indiana State was a top 10 RPI team, so it kind of feels like they didn't go RPI this year.
Evansville getting in there.
So we're on route for an all-purple Greenville regional.
They did that on purpose, obviously.
So marketing.
The sad part is I don't think they go all purple. I think Duke might be going to Greenville
VCU.
here.
Let's see. Oh, VCU.
Okay, so rest in peace, all hopes for an all-purple regional.
Bright yellow.
VCU is a sneaky good team. Brandon Ike, former UNC transfer, is back-to-back A10 Player of the Year.
Well, we got the last one here. Wake Forest.
Wow, that was my other guess. So it sounds like Duke's going to be traveling a fair amount.
Yeah, that's a pretty good regional too.
Yeah, Wake Forest is sneaky good. Sneaky good.
Before we get to the next one, we have a question. Will Northeastern get in?
They're really close, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Let me bring up their RPI. So they're top 35 RPI. The 108th strength schedule probably docks them a little bit, and they're 4-4 in Q1 games. I feel like they probably do sneak in, but it's really 50-50 for me at this point.
Yeah.
I think if any other teams in that conference get again, it should be College Charleston.
They were good.
I'm shocked Oklahoma didn't get a top 8 seed, to be honest. They're paired with Florida State. Oklahoma's a sneaky good team.
They're 9. Yeah. Oral Roberts.
And to get
27-30 on the season.
This is obviously not as good of a team as last year for Oral Roberts, but they're always a sneaky good 4 seed anywhere. And they won the Stillwater Regional. They beat Oregon.
UConn in here.
UConn. That was another bubble team.
Rick, I know you have thoughts on UConn.
I don't see how 2 teams from that conference make it, to be honest.
Duke is the last one. So Duke is in the Oklahoma regional.
I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm going to be honest. Duke wins that regional.
Yeah, I think so too.
You do not want to face the Blue Devils right now. They are a deserved 1 seed, and now they're being forced to travel to Oklahoma.
Chip on their shoulder for sure.
Ooh, dude, that's a dangerous team to face.
Florida State for the Tallahassee regional, of course. Started off. Duke's gonna have they're gonna be rolling. Stetson.
Oh god, the beef between Stetson and Austin Pace, head coach, the other day. That was kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I saw that video. Not shaking hands, man.
God, maybe don't prematurely tweet that you're the ASUN champions. I don't know. UCF makes it. They're the 3 seed in this regional. They started off really hot and then kind of just fell off a little bit, but they did enough at Globe Life to really put themselves in the tournament. So it's nice to see they get rewarded with not a big drive up to Tallahassee. That's only a few hours. Alabama's the 2 seed.
Interesting.
I thought they would be a low, like a high 3 seed, I think. So
awesome for Coach Vaughn. First year coaching there. Great guy. Also podcast guest. So if you want to check out that interview, one of the coolest dudes we interviewed this year.
Friend of the podcast.
Just really down there. You can tell like that guy's a player's coach too, right? You can see why people want to go play for him.
Who's Fayetteville get paired up with? I'm interested to see this. It might be NC State that gets paired with them, honestly.
Also, that Razorback locker room's kind of sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for them. SEC money. Must be nice.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at Nevada, we did not have a locker room like that. I can tell you that.
You might now.
I think they did get an upgrade. So what happens when you bring in a vice president of base player development from the Brewers, I guess.
Ooh, Simo's going to Fayetteville. That's kind of sneaky. Shout out to Joey Lucchese. He's an alum there. Strikeout leader in the NCAA. And wow.
Kansas State.
That is not the Kansas Jayhawks.
No. That's a good team.
Man.
They had the strength of schedule that they had was insane for K-State.
Yeah, I think they get in because of that. But wow, I wasn't expecting that. I thought they were on the outside looking in.
Louisiana Tech.
Oh, that is such a sneaky good regional, man.
Yeah.
Louisiana Tech probably made a late case to host. And like they are
45 win season. Good for them.
Yeah, Ethan Bates, one of the best two-way players in the country. That's really dangerous for K-State.
They used to be in the Nevada's conference, and they were always sneaky good at baseball.
Wow, Virginia's the 12 seed.
Interesting.
Very monotone.
Mm-hmm. At the baseball field by the looks, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Penn.
There we go. Get some Ryan Drabowski.
Ivy League.
Virginia.
Yeah, they got arms, man. You gotta be careful with them.
Yeah.
Cole Zaffro.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting 1-4 matchup right there.
We always get an Ivy League run at some point. So
there's St. John's.
Okay. St. John's is 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mississippi State.
Ooh.
Virginia might not come out of that one.
No. Mississippi State had a case to really host this year. Cal Steven Durangelo is a really dynamic one too. Like, I think Mississippi State wins that regional, to be honest.
That was one of our questions in the YouTube channel, but we didn't get a chance to get to it with what our thoughts were on Mississippi State. Good time to give that out now.
Yeah, sneaky good. You know, Dakota Jordan, that lineup is obviously Hunter Hines, also another really good bat, but like,
yeah, they
got some arms. Like Cal Steven, Durangelo, Sagente as a 1-2. You could go Cal first game against St. John's, and then if you win that, Sagente against Virginia. And Sagente is really shot up boards too. Like, That's a sneaky good arm right now because he's ditched the switch pitching and he's really turned into a legitimate threat as a right-handed pitcher. So that's a really tough matchup for Virginia.
That's the thing when you get in this tournament play, man. Like if you have the depth of arms, that's what it matters and when it counts.
Yeah, Arizona is going to be paired up with UNC, by the way. Grand Canyon. That's an interesting one because Grand Canyon won the regular season title, but obviously Tarleton State won the WAC, and they're in that fourth year of transitioning from D2 to D1. So it sounds like they didn't get their petition waived for them, unfortunately, which sucks. That really sucks.
West Virginia
3 seed.
For those who want to know, Grand Canyon University is not actually in the Grand Canyon. It's in downtown Phoenix.
Yep.
So.
By the way,
travel far to go to Tucson.
JJ Weatherholt. Oh, Arizona got a.
That's a big.
DBU just is one of the hottest teams in the country right now, man. Yeah. Oh,
rough one.
I was about to say JJ Weatherholt at High Corbett is such a fun idea, and you get DBU as your 2 seed. Whoo. Ryan Johnson's gonna have fun with that, man.
That's gonna be a fun play.
Long Island, okay. Shout out to the Sharks. One of the best color combos in the country, by the way. That like gold, yellow, and light blue, on par with like Southern University. I love that color combo.
They were in the Maryland regional when I went a couple years ago, so they always find their way in.
Wolfers to 3 seed. That's a sneaky good team. Year in, year out, they've been really sneaky good.
Yeah.
Won the SoCon. I'm not too familiar with that team, but obviously a 40-win season and in a pretty difficult conference too. Oh,
LSU.
Somebody texted us in a group chat earlier. UNC does not want LSU. We mentioned it. LSU is like the hottest team.
They're not even excited in this video right now because they're like, all right, we're going to work.
Oh, that's
going to be fun.
That's going to be insanely fun.
What a time. I'm picking LSU to come out of that one.
UNC is sneaky good.
They are good.
They are very good. They're probably the best all-around team in the ACC, personally.
Casey
Cook's the toughest out. I had multiple coaches tell me, man. Like, Casey Cook's the toughest hitter that they faced all year. And, like, he's going to be a top 5 round pick. Like, he's underrated across the country, in my opinion.
Gotta love that.
So that's half the bracket done, by the way, guys. Like,
biggest shock for you?
Indiana being in. That's not one I thought would happen.
Because they didn't even win their tourney, right?
No. They made it to the semis, I think.
Yeah.
They had to. I'm trying to think. I think Nebraska had to beat them twice, and they did. And then Nebraska obviously won the Big Ten. That is such a difficult matchup for UNC, though, man. Holy cow.
I was just trying to go through the RPI rankings just to even see where Indiana was. They're 55th. So it's not like, but I guess that gets you in. 32-24 record.
Let me see. Indiana is only a 55th RPI rank.
Yeah.
And they're 6-10 in Q1 games. So I'm interested to see what the committee's looking at this year.
Yeah.
Is it KPI? It could be KPI because strength of schedule is pretty good for Indiana. They're a top 40 strength schedule.
It's just an interesting call.
Yeah.
Kansas State was much higher than I thought, but I guess, with their strength of schedule, 45 on the RPI list.
Yeah, I think we're going off 7 at schedule this year.
Just saying, like, who had the best? Hager was 23-12 on the road. Good for them. I was looking to see who was the best team on the road.
So yeah, that was fun. I'm gonna be honest. That Chapel Hill Regional,
that might be worth going to as a fan.
Yeah, LSU. I think LSU wins that one. Tucson might be DBU.
Yeah,
DBU is another one of those teams that really hot. I think they're 17-2 in their last 19 games. Won their conference tournament. They have 44 wins on the year, and you have Ryan Johnson as your ace.
Dude. That's gonna be my favorite regional to watch is the Tucson one.
I think
West
I agree
Virginia's
with that.
good. You get what, top 10 guy and JJ Weatherholt for the draft. You got Aiden Major of West Virginia. GCU is always kind of a sneaky good team. They've got some talent over there. Arizona.
Daniel Vidia's there. Yeah.
That's gonna be a fun regional. I wish I was in Arizona still. I'd go down to that.
Dude, Ryan Johnson, just looking at the stats this year, sub-2 ERA, 147 strikeouts and 100 exact innings. The 12 walks.
Never would have guessed that happening.
Dude,
12.
That in and of itself is probably the toughest regional so far.
Yeah, that's going to be a time. I'm excited though to see K-State and how they kind of hold up against Arkansas and other teams in that. Just because going into the season, I thought they're going to be a lot better than they were.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of curious to see if they get some momentum on their side, they can kind of start pulling things together.
Who was that?
What's that?
Who were you saying?
K-State.
K-State, okay.
Yeah.
So here's the 2 seed. Kentucky's second overall. Ryan Waldschmidt, one of the best bats in the country. He's gonna be a day one pick. They get Western Michigan to start, which they're in the MAC, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're the MAC.
Yeah. The other MAC.
Illinois gets rewarded for a strong season. I think they were the regular season Big Ten champs.
Fighting Illini, baby.
That's fun right there.
Yeah.
Who's a 2 seed? Oh, that's a sneaky good regional.
Indiana State.
Indiana State's they've mastered scheduling, man. They have mastered scheduling. I'm pretty sure they were a 19th strength of schedule for non-conference and a non-conference RPI of 5.
That's insane.
And
17-9 on the road too. Good for them.
Oregon State's the 15 seed, which kind of a bit shocking. I thought they'd be just a little bit higher, but they didn't win the Pac-12 and they kind of ended the year in a slump. Tulane's not 19-40 this year. And that was an electric finish yesterday. Jackson Lynn walk-off home run, 430 feet. Remember that name from a couple years ago?
Yeah, up here.
Nichols, the 3 seed. Jacob Myers, one of the most electric arms in all of college baseball. Even though, it's fastball heavy, he's really good, really lanky, has trouble with command. But, he is a dangerous, whoever 2 seed, UC Irvine's going to have a tough task with Myers, I think.
Yeah.
And UC Irvine's pretty good, too. Riley Kelly's in that rotation. Woody Hadeen's got one of the best contact rates in the country. Caden Kendall's came back this year for his senior year. That's a sneaky tough lineup, I think, for Oregon State to kind of overcome.
How many more do we got? Just 2 more?
Six more, I think.
Yeah. I was trying to see who was left for the bubble teams.
Georgia Tech,
yeah. Hi. Wow, we're the 10 seed?
NC State?
That's the Sports and Social in Cary. I know that place.
Will this be the regional you go to attend?
As a fan? Maybe. And like that 33-20 record is misleading. They had 5 top 10 ACC series wins this year. And Bryant's kind of a tough American East team, man. They might be sneaky good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some good starters on that team for sure. They got a few bats. Probably guy's going to get drafted is this guy Gavin Noriega. Had a great year.
James Madison made it. Wow.
They were a bubble team.
Yep.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
That might be the dagger for
Northeastern.
Yeah, and I think they might be. It feels like strength of schedule is really playing a big role this year.
Yeah.
They're 44th in RPI, but at a top 5 non-conference strength of schedule, 41st overall. Like South Carolina's 2 seed. That's a sneaky good matchup. State went there last year. South Carolina's doing the reverse this year, so that's a very bad dance there, sir. Please don't ever do that again.
I just saw that. What is happening?
I'll be honest. That James Madison team's probably going to give South Carolina some fits. Fenwick Trimble is one of the best bats in the mid majors this year.
It's wild to me being from Rhode Island that Bryant is always the best baseball school in the state. They just find a way to do it every year. And they're
Who
good.
is that in the fucking center? Excuse my language.
Brian,
the dog.
Brian relies on a lot of data. They're very savvy that way, so they do a good job by getting the most of their players and developing players, especially pitchers. So,
Georgia.
Army going to Georgia.
Another team with a new head coach.
Yep. Just realized Georgia and North Carolina State being matched up for a potential super regional. Go back to when Gordon Beckham broke the original Georgia home run record. That was like 2008, I think. Wow. Georgia Tech's in. They're going down to Athens.
Interesting. That's going to be fun for Georgia fans in general of either school.
Wow.
Pack the house there.
Get to watch Drew Burris go yard at Foley Field. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
He's a 2 seed. Oh. UNC Wilmington's a very good team, man.
Mm-hmm.
This TCU's probably a bubble team too, right?
I'm going to be honest. Unless TCU's been sent to Oklahoma State, I don't think they're in.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because you got Charleston, TCU, Georgia Southern, Northeastern has some of like the bubbles left.
Did they say Coastal Carolina yet?
No, Coastal's not in as of yet.
Florida still?
No,
that's
Florida
right. I haven't seen Florida yet. If Florida's going anywhere, I think it's here.
Cal too probably is a
Mm-hmm.
Blake Wright, one of the best seniors in the country, right there, front center. Cam Canarella, really good sophomore as well.
That Clemson team's fun.
Yeah, I question the pitching a little bit. They get High Point to start. High Point won the Big South. That's the first time Campbell moved out of that conference, so they upset UC. Coastal made it. Gary Gilmore is going to have postseason in his final year. That's amazing. They struggle down a stretch, but they have a really good 1 through 4. And Vanderbilt's the 2 seed.
That'll be a fun conference.
That's a fun regional right there.
Yeah.
I think the big issue is with Vanderbilt. If you go Bryce Cunningham first, Bryce Cunningham's got a really bad ERA on the road. Stillwater is the 11th seed. But another thing I just realized, the Big 12 tournament last part was the Bedlam for the final. So that was our last Bedlam ever.
Yeah.
There's Niagara, Rekka. That's your boys.
Go.
Purple Eagles.
Yes, sir.
I think it's their first ever regional appearance too.
That's cool.
No. I don't like that whatsoever.
28 and 27 Florida. Yeesh.
I did say I wouldn't be shocked if they made it, but like I still don't think they should be in.
Yeah.
They got that Nebraska's a tough 2 seed they face as a 3 seed, man.
Yeah.
Where's Florida on this RPI? So Florida's an RPI of 30, but they did have the toughest strength schedule in the country. 21st non-conference. I do believe we're looking at strength of schedule being the big precedent here.
Aaron Fitt just tweeted out, "Hey, Florida had a man on the committee. That's cute if you thought they were going to get admitted. Bless your heart." What a tweet. Love it. Yeah, it's kind of disappointing. But
another thing I just realized, Clemson had 2 games against Coastal canceled this year, and now they finally get to see them.
Interesting.
Santa Barbara should be a little bit higher, in my opinion.
You liked that team a lot when you saw them earlier, right?
Yeah, and they've only gotten better. Like Tyler Bremner's one of the best sophomore arms in the country. Ivan Brethwar is one of the biggest power bats in the country. Like, that's a sneaky good team.
Yeah.
Fresno State won not the Big West,
Mountain
the Mountain West.
Yeah.
And we're in a year cycle where we get a surprise winner in Omaha every 8 years, and Fresno State started that trend.
Yep. For the Aaron Judge days.
Yep. Oregon made it. I don't think that was a surprise. I think a 3 seed is a bit surprising for me, but
yeah, I probably put them over Fresno.
Okay. San Diego being the 2 seed, that makes sense. San Diego with Josh Randall at the top of that pitching staff, man, they are deadly. Jacob Christian in that lineup too is very good. They might win that regional, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
When did they add Brian to the College Station name?
What's that?
I didn't realize it was the Brian College Station regional.
I didn't either. I really like Texas A&M.
Okay. Swag champs. I like it. I like it. That's a really somebody's up there in the roof. Anybody else see
on
that?
The bus. I love it.
They got the hatch open. He's coming in from the roof. I love it. Texas is a 3 seed. The committee really wanted Texas A&M and Texas, man.
Yeah.
Ooh, Louisiana's a 2 seed. That's kind of a really tough regional.
Yeah. That's a good team.
Very good. LP Langevin, one of the best relievers in the country. Kyle DeBarge, one of the shortstops in the country. That's a sneaky tough matchup for Texas, I think. Even with Jared Thomas as their do-it-all bat in that lineup. Jalen Flores looks really good too. That's an intriguing matchup from a draft perspective. That's the full seed. I kind of want to see who's the last teams in and who got snubbed.
Who's still left?
TCU didn't make it.
Yeah. Northeastern,
sadly.
Xavier probably.
No, Xavier didn't make it.
Yeah. What, we got 2 left? I think. Or is that the complete field? I don't even.
No, that's a complete field.
Yeah.
I know I keep saying Northeastern, but think College of Charleston should have been in that.
Yeah. I think Charleston.
At the very least, 2 teams from that conference should make it. That's conference got a lot better this year. Yeah, Campbell, College of Charleston, Northeastern, Wilmington, William Mary. Like that, they deserve 2 teams. I'm sorry, they do.
Yeah, Charleston went 21-5 in conference.
That's wild.
But their strength of schedule, man, it's brutal. I think that's what, just judging by some of the picks being in, like Connecticut at top 50 strength of schedule. But then that'd be weird with Xavier being left out, because Xavier had a top 2 non-conference strength of schedule and a top 20 overall. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, we got the field. We're ready to go. Tyler, before we kind of sign off here, do you have any draft updates based on the tourney play, anything else like that?
Honestly, like, just how tough it is for us to really do our thing with getting video and the NCAA kind of being a bit of a stickler on that kind of thing. If we're at a regional, we're there as fans.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's been dealt. I don't want to take up a seat for any beat writers or anything in a press box, either at like UNC or NC State. So realistically, I don't want to be that person. So like it just makes sense that I kind of take a break and really focus on getting some of our stuff done. Like, we got the top 300 coming out this week.
Yep.
Going to be working more on mocks and everything as we get closer to draft, and really getting ready for some of the 2025 stuff, because we have collegiate starting pretty soon. At least down here, I think within a month I'll be doing some of the collegiate national team stuff, and it's just really tough for me to kind of like go out there, take a spot for somebody, and just be like, yeah, I'm just sitting here to take up the like negative space in the room, just to have cameras roll that realistically they wouldn't let me do anyways.
Yeah.
So I think overall, like, it is, if you see any of us at a regional, we're there as fans. I'm gonna have some fun. Take a bit of a breather, because I'm tired.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we're going to keep doing the podcast. We're going to try to get some guests on now that it's the off season for some teams. Probably reach out to some coaches, reach out to some players. So hopefully have those going for you. I'm going to be working on some player draft spotlights, just individual guys I saw with scouting grades, a little bit of a write-up on them. So we'll have those coming your way. Rekka, is there anything else you want to touch on before we kind of sign off?
No, there's no regionals in this region up here in the Northeast, so free from that. But I got Chris Lavonis, can see him again tomorrow, and stuff is wrapping up, so get the final looks in, and go from there.
Awesome. Love it. We hopefully might be live at the MLB Draft, still trying to figure all that stuff out too. But until next time, we will see you.